things as far as when they bud out. The first variety I have that buds out is Chardonnay.
Oh.
So when the Chardonnay buds out earlier, guess which one's the most likely to get frosted, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Chardonnay. So what we do is we use this thing, and you may know this information, so I won't belabor it, but we do a little trick to kind of fool the plant, okay? Normally when we prune, and I will have to come back and redo this. This is being pruned.
Probably a dead arm.
This is what we call, yeah, that was a dead arm that I just took out. Normally we will come back down to 2 buds for the growing season, okay? So that's 1 bud right there, and that's another bud right there. So normally I would cut that one off right there. But if I leave this as is right now and we get a frost and there's only 2 buds to be frosted.
Oh, yes.
It freezes down.
It would that would be the end of this vine for
Got
this
it.
year for me.
Right.
However, the vines have a thing. What they do is, and most varieties have it. Whatever's furthest away from the original line in that year is what's going to bud out first. That'll bud out first, second, third, fourth. In general speaking, okay?
Right.
Roses we did.
In effect, what that does is, if I allow that to happen during the springtime, then instead of this being the last one out, this is the first one out. This is now the first one out. That means that one's the second to last. So I'm delaying this, and I'll come along after hopefully our last frost and go
Got it.
like that.
After you've passed that time.
After I hopefully have passed that
I'm gonna mark this.
that
Let's see if it
frosting
gets
time.
frosted. Let's see if it gets frosted.
And look at, there's some green on the top
Yeah.
of what you just
Yeah.
did that. I
And
wanted
that's
to
how
see
we
that.
know that it's still alive.
It's still alive. You can see
And
that
that's one of
green.
the things we're looking at in pruning.
Yes.
Is it still green up here? And a lot of
Right.
times that you get what we call dead arms sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and this was one of them. Okay.
Okay.
And what
Yeah.
happens is
Yeah.
invariably
I love the bark on them. And the Cabernet
this one's
Sauvignon
not
is
that
really
bad.
cool.
I may have done this for another reason. I have to remember my own reasoning. Yeah, I know what it was. This was right here.
Oh,
Okay.
a little too
And it
close.
was just too much space. here.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
I
what
see.
What you're trying to do is maximize the amount of fruit you get that the vine can handle. And typically it's around, I want at least 7 buds on each side of the 7
Stems.
areas
Okay.
on each side of this.
I
1,
see.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then all over here.
7. Right. I see.
That one's actually coming out of here. Okay.
Mhm.
So when that comes out and builds a nicer trunk,
Mm-hmm.
this is called a cordon or an arm. Okay. I'll cut that off right there.
Oh, I
And-
see.
But this is a little bit long even for just this. Normally I don't like to go past 18 inches. Okay. But what I want to do is get an arm. There used to be things coming off of here. Okay. But now that's gone away. So what you're trying to do here by doing all this pruning is, these are all dormant, by the way. They're all brown. Okay.
Yes.
Fruit only grows on last year's wood. Okay?
Ah. Okay.
You only get fruit, and this applies to all trees and most flowers. It only grows on last year's wood. There won't be any fruit grow off of this, even though it might send out a shoot later on. It won't be that shoot. These are shoots. That shoot will not be fruitful. Right. Same thing with flowers. If the flower is in most plants, the flower is the end product. It's not actually the end product. In this case, the flower is the start product for the grape.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
And in most cases, if it's just a flowering plant that doesn't produce fruit,
Mhm.
the flower is the end product.
Mm-hmm.
But in the case of anything that grows fruit,
Hydrangeas and stuff,
yeah,
that's
it's
why.
exactly. So what we do here is, anytime you see this wood, right, you see this is last year's wood,
Mm-hmm.
Let's come back down over here. Let's go back over here. No, I want that sticking up. Now you can see it's a bit of a mess here. You go, all right, here's last year's fruit. We do want to get rid of stuff like that. That is where the grapes used to be. We want to clean all this stuff up. We
I
want to try to
see.
get, when we're doing this, we want to clean the plant up. So I'll be cutting stuff off like that. There's one that used to be a
Yes.
shoot, but now it's gone. Okay?
Right,
This is
right.
what we call a spur. So is that. So I'll take, for example, I'll keep this one and get rid of this whole thing.
Got it. Got it.
Why? Because it's getting further and further, and if I don't do that, then eventually these things get longer and longer and longer, and they're out here, and so forth, and so
Mhm.
on. And I also,
Whatever one is coming directly out of
it'll be fruitful next year, but it wasn't
this year.
This
this
year.
last year, right?
Right, right, I see.
Okay. But this year, it'll be last year's wood.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it will be fruitful. So I'll take all that off.
And
Mhm.
eventually, this one will grow its own,
We'll go back to two buds here, and then these two will have
and it'll split out.
something like this.
Okay.
And then I'll choose next year. Let's say, I'm not talking about this one now, I'm talking about this one here. This one do that. If this wasn't here, then I'd be taking this one. Okay?
You're at a bad angle there.
Yeah, I'm at a bad angle. Okay? And then, because I would go down to two buds normally, forget the little
Yeah.
trick that we pull, okay?
Right.
In this case, I would do this, okay?
Give your little.
But if I was in the Cabernet,
Yes.
which comes out, blooms out a lot later, I would go back down to two
Yes.
buds right there.
Yes, yes.
And so on. Now here we are, knowing that there's two good buds right here.
Mm-hmm.
We also do a not all buds that you count are, you can call them nodes or buds. We call them buds. They're actually nodes. Okay, that's a node. That's a node, and these are buds. Okay, so you're going to get. This is where everything is going to grow from. Is that right there? So there's fruit there
Yeah.
during the year, and this goes to all plants. During the year, if you have something that's shaded all the time, then that won't be as fruitful as something that was not shaded. Okay, because the sun, the actual grapes are the makings of the grapes are in right there right now.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
that is aided by how much sunlight it got last year. Even though I wasn't pulling anything off of this plant, off of this one, it was setting us up for this year.
Mm.
So this is why when we train these vines, we like to have them boom, 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 so that when they go up here, all the leaves will be up in here. This area here, we will deleaf it, okay, to allow sunlight to get in there. And it's not particularly for that year's fruit, but it's really for the
Next year.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Interesting.
If you want to. And we just put everything in the aisles, and then I come along with a bush hog and just bush hog it into smaller
Oh.
pieces, and then it goes back in the ground again.
Okay.
So we don't really waste it. Normally
Wow.
this is all clean. This is raw dirt right here. This last year, when I was about ready to kill all the extra grass that was in here, it was raining so hard. I thought we'll leave that. Now I got a mess I got to clean up.
Let me ask you a question to end this. How long has it taken you to know what you know?
Well, you learn. It's like anything, any college you've ever been to or school you've ever been to. You learned what you needed to do, and then you went out and by experience you found out a whole lot more things. Exactly the same thing. You can learn the mechanics of it, but you really don't know anything about what you're doing until you've had some experience.
Right.
Okay? And that's probably that's life. Right?
Yep. Yep.
So to make a long story short, you can go. There are classes you can take, and basically I went and learned with other growers. Okay?
I see.
I
Okay.
went and learned how to prune from a guy that got me into the business, basically.
Okay.
So I did pruning with him so that I would know what to do when I had a
Right.
vineyard. You can read about how you do it, but there's nothing that is better than actually physically doing it
Doing it
yourself. And
yourself.
having to make the decisions. And yes, you make some. When I started this this vineyard in '99, the book wasn't written on Virginia growing. Okay,
Uh-huh.
it was not written yet.
Yeah.
There were some people there before us, and yeah, we had some general ideas, but and as an industry,
Yes.
we're learning more as we go along.
Right.
What
I
should
got
we
it.
plant in certain places and what we shouldn't? It's not just a case of, well, I'm only going to plant what I like to drink. Okay, that's great, but it may not be appropriate to your location.
Oh, I see.
So the best grape for this location may be something different. If
Got
I was
it.
to do it all again, I wouldn't plant it at Vidal Blanc. Even though I love Vidal Blanc,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't pay enough for a grower.
Oh,
okay?
I see. I see.
This Chardonnay pays twice as much as per ton. as
Oh
that
my
Vidal Blanc.
gosh. That's amazing.
Now, the Vidal Blanc is a lot more prolific, so you get more grapes from there,
I
but
understand.
it doesn't pay as much.
Yeah, I see.
So there's a thing there.
So really, the last 15 years, you've learned. You're kind of writing the book on Virginia wine.
Yes, the whole industry is.
Interesting.
As we go along, we're finding out some varieties that really do very well in Virginia. There's some varieties are very. It's like anything else. You'll see all of a sudden that Pinot Grigio is the grape of choice or the wine of choice for people.
Right.
Well, that's kind of transient.
Yes.
It takes
Yes.
5 years for this vine to grow up to where I get full
Oh,
production.
I see.
So transient likes and tastes of the consumer is not what we're chasing, because you can't chase it. By the time you get growing on that Pinot Grigio, Moscato may be the next great
Got
thing,
it, got it.
and it is right now. So
Got
Pinot
it.
Grigio has kind of gotten replaced by Moscato.
Oh, I see.
So
I
if
see.
I'd have chased the Pinot Grigio bandwagon, we'd be out of money.
Right. Right. Interesting.
So you do sometimes stick. It's like buying jewelry. You buy that modern piece of jewelry that K Jewelers is selling, or do you get a classic piece
Right.
and give it to somebody for life?
Yeah.
That's what you do with grapes too. Not everybody does that. But that's
Well, thank you very much.
all right.